computer. Yes. No, it's telling me I do not have permission to record live on Facebook. Subject does not have permission to create live video on this group. I wonder if it's a setting in VoiceOver camp.
Oh no.
We'll fix it for next time. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
All right. So should we let people in?
Yeah, let's go.
Admit all. Here we go.
Hi guys. We have everybody on mute, so just except Terry and I, obviously, but
Well,
thanks
actually,
for joining us.
I should be on mute.
No,
I should always be on mute because you know why? When I'm not on mute, I put my foot in my mouth constantly. No. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the free Q&A. We really appreciate you being here. It's weird doing a Zoom video thing, Trish, because I kind of like go to webinar where I can hide. If I don't have to turn my camera on, but it's good to see all your smiling faces ready to come in and learn a little VO. Of course, we have some of our students who are in here that probably we've taught them so well, Trish, that they now know VO more than you and I.
It happens.
No. So all of our students, of course, are welcome too. So yeah, let's why don't we just get started? Trish, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and kind of your passion for getting into this and how the hell you fell into it. It always seems like we either do it on purpose or it's an accident that was something that we just fell into voiceovers, even though some people say break into voiceovers, but you really don't break in. You have to work your ass off to get into it.
Yeah.
That's why
over and over again. When
you see Facebook ads from kind of these snake oily people saying, you know, break into voiceovers, it's kind of a trigger for me. It's like I'm immediately in a bad mood when I read that header.
I agree. It is one of those things where even if you break in once doesn't mean that you're in for forever. You know, you kind of have to keep breaking through constantly. So at least at the beginning. So it's not just one thing, one job won't get you in the door. But anyway, hi guys, I'm Trish Bassani. Those of you that don't know me, I do see a lot of familiar faces. So, and those of you that I don't know, I have been doing voiceovers full-time since 2004. And I've been a coach here with UVT for the last 4 years. And I enjoy teaching and I have the time for it because I put a lot of work in early on, and I do make a full-time living doing voiceovers in about 2 to 3 hours a day. So it's kind of given my schedule, it's opened up my schedule to be able to work with a lot of you and be able to help other people get a career going in this amazing field that has been so very good to myself and Terry. Terry and I have known each other for many, many years, and many since 2006, I think.
Yeah, 2006. I think I was using a USB mic, and I think you and I, Trish, were the first 2 members of Twitter. Pretty close.
Yeah, no, that's true. And
it was the only tweets I could see were yours because you were the only one in my feed.
And then I did a presentation on it for Voice 2012, which was a voiceover conference in Los Angeles. And Terry and I and another guy, Dave, actually presented together. That was 10 years ago yesterday.
I can't believe it, man. That was back when voiceover conferences were cool.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, some of them are still cool. Some of them aren't.
Yeah, that's when we were cool.
We won't really get into that, but yeah. So by the way, this is our first kind of free Q&A where we're doing like multi-video. I haven't been a big Zoom conference person before. I love using it on a one-on-one basis, but when I see all these little squares of people, Actually, it's pretty good when you've got every kind of anxiety issue like I have, OCD, ADHD, ADD, severe. And Trish, you're messed up, right?
Not as messed up as you are.
You have to be kind of messed up to be a voice actor. It just means that you're creative.
Yeah, no, ADHD is definitely a thing, but if you can harness it, it becomes a superpower. It's just a matter of being able to know what to do with it in certain situations or in certain kind of scenarios. Sorry for the background noise.
Yeah, all it means is that you're talented as hell, honestly, because we've talked about this. I've written a couple blogs actually about it, how, focusing can be a little bit of a challenge. And which, by the way, I just wrote my 90th blog for the UVT coaching website, uvtcoaching.com. Check out, there's a wealth of information on our coaching site. Even if you go throughout your entire life and you decide not to work with us, which which would be a really stupid move on your part. No, I'm kidding. No, seriously, there's a wealth of information for for mainly beginners, but there's a lot of nuggets that pros can take away from too, because there's a lot of professionals in the industry that are kind of stuck in their old ways, which is fine. I mean, if you're a union voice actor and you have Coca-Cola, Budweiser, and Ford, it's your main clients, you probably don't need us, but there's always something that you can take away from one of those blogs. So definitely kind of check that out. Trish, let's talk a little bit about, the way we kind of get our business, because you see a lot of classes and a lot of stuff out there that are very agency based. And we love our talent agents, but you and I we would have different jobs if it weren't for our ability to get clients by way of being an independent contractor and being able to reach out to potential voiceover buyers, either on LinkedIn, or you teach an incredible marketing class, the Muckstruck marketing class, where you're really kind of a mastermind of direct marketing. And you notice I didn't call you a guru.
Thank you.
That's a trigger word for you. Why do you not like being called a guru when you are?
I see it as a negative word, especially in the non-guru circles.
Yeah.
Like a guru is, I don't know.
How do I get into a non-guru circle? Is that like a special Facebook group that I can try to get into?
Well, a guru is supposed to be like, I always think of somebody like I don't know, like a spiritual guru. That's kind of like how I think it would, I don't know. I feel like it's the name just, it's just a personal thing. So, but yes, I'll take expert.
How have you been able to kind of build up your clientele just by way of direct marketing without giving away, of course, all your secrets?
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it's reaching out. Think about, who hires us, right? Or who uses voiceover talent. What types of projects hire voiceover talent or need voiceover talent? You go for those companies that produce that content. Yes, some of them go to the online and put out those online casting calls on the big casting sites. But a lot of them have in-house rosters. We're talking advertising agencies and production companies. There's a lot of other names for them, but those are the two biggest kind of broadest categories. Ad agencies, production companies that you can approach with a good demo and a good website. That's a lot of this. I mean, the amount of people that try to get work from these places without those things, unfortunately, you don't do very well without those things. Your presentation is really important. So I teach people how to kind of be, first of all, what you need to before you even start marketing that way, to have the website and to have kind of your ducks in a row, so to speak. Your LinkedIn, profile, like have your online persona set and presentable and in a great way, so that when people follow you without you sometimes knowing, sometimes I email people, and I've told this to a lot of you that are on here that have taken my marketing class. there's been many times where I've emailed a place and gone, hey, do you accept voiceover demos? And yes, it can be that simple to just ask that question. And if you have a clickable link to your website and you email them and ask that question, sometimes they don't even respond to your email. They will go straight to your website, through the clickable link, grab your demo, download it, make it downloadable, by the way, and download your demo and keep it until they have somebody that's interested, and then they reach out, sometimes as much as a year later. So I've literally gotten a response to an email that I sent a year prior saying, hey, Trish, we've had your demo this whole time, but we didn't need you until now. So are you still doing voiceovers, first of all? And two, are you available? So that's why you want to have your online presence really strong. Make sure you have a decent website, a good demo to represent yourself, because you don't know who's listening.
Good answer for sure. Yeah, and speaking of, it's interesting because I got an email just the other day from a client. The name kind of sounded familiar, and it felt like it was one of the first voiceover clients I've ever had. And I think it was an Elance client, Trish.
Wow, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Elance. What is Elance called now?
It's Upwork, I think.
Oh, Upwork. Yeah. So, the rate wasn't one of the really extremely offensive low rates, but it wasn't, back then when I started to get more online work, I worked with this gentleman a few times, and he just came back to me after like literally 15 years and just hired me for a bunch of e-learning stuff. So it's kind of interesting. So you might, sometimes you think you got, oh, I don't think this client's ever coming back, but then they come back literally like 12 years later. Yeah. So don't delete anybody from your client list. I know we're kind of in Trish and I are in a couple different lanes here with what we're talking about, but why don't we, and by the way, there are plenty of Kahuna students on the call, so thank you. You would think you guys would be sick of us by now, but we were. I'm very glad you're here. Trust me. You can always pick up something, even on a free Q&A for beginners. There's always something new that, especially when somebody asks a question that maybe we've never heard before, it kind of opens up a whole new conversation. So thank you for being here for that. But for those of you who don't know who we are, I'm Terry Daniel. I've been doing this for well over 30 years altogether. I have a theater and radio background. That's really where this all got started. I booked a country kitchen commercial back in the late 80s that really got me salivating to do this for a living. It was a pretty big deal. It was a TV spot. If those of you that remember Country Kitchen, it was a lot like Denny's, horrible breakfast, fun commercials, and very decent pay. It was through my very first talent agent. And I'm like, you know what, this is for me. I'm kind of a closet introvert. So this was a perfect profession. I don't always act so introverted, but really deep down inside, all of you scare me to death. I am just not. Trish, how many years have I been pretending to be like Mr. Social?
You've gotten away with it for as long as I've known you.
Yeah, but no, this was a perfect profession. Coming out of corporate radio, which radio was fun for a while, and then it wasn't. For those of you that are maybe on the call who still are in radio, and you're kind of like, oh, I know what he's talking about. We just didn't have a lot of, we basically became card readers behind the mic. And if I was going to do that, I was going to get paid better for it by doing voiceovers. The corporations took all the creativity, all the creative liberty out of radio. So that was a perfect opportunity. I already had a few clients going. So I'm like, you know what? I actually quit my radio job cold and I just basically said, fuck it. And just started doing this and just prayed that I could do it for a living, and just, worked literally 15 hours a day until I started getting clients. So, that's why my hair is white. That's why I now look like Steve Martin.
That's why I dye my hair purple.
Should we take some questions?
Yes, I think we should.
Yeah. So I think we've never done this before, but do you guys see, for those of you that want to ask a live question, is there a virtual hand that you can raise? Does anybody see that? Nobody can see it.
If you're hovering over, there should be like three
Oh yeah,
dots.
Crystal did it.
Okay.
So we're gonna go to Crystal. Crystal,
Hi.
how are you?
Hi, Trish and Terry. How are
Hi.
you? I'm so glad to be here. I'm in Cleveland, Mississippi, and I
Um,
have a question, and I hope that I'm asking this right. I'm very, very new. I'm a total beginner, and what I want to know is the difference between voice acting and voiceover. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because I was in a voice actors group and they say, it sounds like you're just reading. And so I would like to go into the area of maybe announcing or maybe reading, audio books. And
sure.
so when someone is going into the field of voiceover, do they necessarily have to do voice acting, or what's the difference? If that makes any sense, in case someone doesn't want to just go into the acting feel right at the moment, but they still want to use their voice for voiceover.
Well, first off, what group are you in where somebody's telling you that you sound like you're reading?
Um, oh
If,
my goodness.
if you can't
It
think,
was
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
okay.
The reason I'm
Okay, yeah, it was a while ago, and because I'm trying to learn as much as I can about voiceover, and I want to go into that field. I actually bought my first microphone a couple of weeks ago, and I said I wanted to practice at home. And I don't necessarily want to be a character per se. I want to more so maybe read, like I said, read books, or maybe announcing,
audiobook
or
narrator.
into that
Okay,
field
great.
more so than becoming a character. And so the group I was in, everyone had to read a sample script, and so everyone did really well except me. And so you know how you have to give a critique, and everyone said, you sound like you're just reading. So I don't really want to be a character per se. I want to just go into the area of voiceover where I can read. So maybe that's why I was coming across as though I was reading.
Yeah. Well, what you want to do is, and I'm going to mute the mic just to avoid further feedback. But thank you, Crystal. That's a great question. And basically, I don't know. I mean, there's always these kind of debates in forums on social media. Trish, what's the difference between voice acting and voiceover? I mean, they're basically pretty much the same thing. I mean, even if I'm reading an e-learning narration, I'm kind of playing a character, so it's still kind of voice acting, even though I'm reading a bunch of medical terminology. So I wouldn't get caught up on what what the proper. I mean, you're a voice talent, you're a voice actor, you're a voiceover artist. I mean, all three are correct. And then be careful with some of these groups where you're getting feedback, unless they're professional coaches with experience, which I'm not saying this was the case with Crystal, but there's groups out there that try to do these script workouts, and they're all like people who just started doing voiceovers 10 minutes ago. So you're basically if I if I'm going to take a piano lesson, I'm not going to take it from somebody else that doesn't know how to play piano. So you really want to work with somebody who's very reputable and who has a proven career. Trish?
Yeah, and Crystal, like that's that's usually the point of coaching, to be honest, is like everybody kind of sounds like they're just reading when they just start, but that's the idea of learning the craft. So there is you even when you read audiobooks or you read narrations, and it's not like, because everybody thinks, oh, acting is like for cartoons or animation, like the really big personality stuff. And that is a good chunk of it. That's kind of how I do the separation. For a long time, I didn't consider myself necessarily a voice actor, because I felt like I do commercials for a living, like I do a lot of narration jobs and commercial jobs. I don't really do animation. So I didn't really feel like I was an actor. But at the same time, there is an element of acting you're not it's not the same from one genre to the next. But if you had never done it before, Crystal, that's probably, I mean, everybody, when they first read a script, that's the idea of learning how to do voiceovers. That's why you can't just start doing them, because a lot of people sound like they're just reading. And if you listen to the voices on the radio or the wherever that you're hearing that you want to sound like, those people went through a training process in order to sound natural. It's, that's part of that. So I hope that answers your question, but they are the same. Voiceover and voice acting is really the same now. They're kind of synonymous, but one does take a little more than the other, to be fair.
That's a great answer. And if you guys have questions that are voiceover related, if you can see there's a little virtual hand that you can put up. If you can't see the option on your end, you can just use your regular hand and just wave at us. We can get to you, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Let's go to Juan.
Is Connie, I think Connie has her mic open.
Oh yeah, everybody else, if you can leave your mics muted until we get to you, that'll keep the feedback issue under control. Juan, good evening.
Hey, the question for you, Terry, and I guess maybe Trish as well. You do a lot of marketing on LinkedIn, but you also have a lot of what I call original content. For somebody who is, in my role or new in the business, I understand that the aspect of me following key players. What's my what should I be posting? What should I be generating? What should my role on LinkedIn be, other than as a viewer?
That's a great question, and a quick answer, and then Trish, will have more to say about this. But with me and getting actual voiceover work, it's all about engaging with potential VO buyers who have LinkedIn accounts, and that could be like a production director, somebody who owns an explainer video company, some talent agents for sure. And I just start engaging in some of their posts and conversations. I'm very active in the conversation thread. I don't necessarily throw myself out there with a big sign that says, hire me, I'm the best voice actor in town. Instead, I'm working on building the relationship with this new connection on LinkedIn. And I try to be as interested as possible in what they have going on, instead of trying to make everything about me, either in a comment thread. And I never message anybody. I don't use the messenger in LinkedIn to market myself. I'm a little sneaky in the comment thread with the way I do it, but I engage, they ask questions, and then we start going back on stuff. And then sooner or later, I get emails from these people, or they reach out to me via LinkedIn Messenger. And that's how I've been able to kind of build up a clientele, via LinkedIn. Honestly, between LinkedIn and Twitter, it's at least a dozen brand new clients a year. Now, they don't all come back for multiple projects, but that's pretty good when you're marketing on a free platform. Trish?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The type of, content marketing these days, which is social media marketing across the board, is really about storytelling now. And people are now telling their stories that are what we would refer to as nobodies, people that aren't celebrities. But that's how we relate to each other now when it comes to social media, because when a YouTuber or somebody that's popular on TikTok, a lot of times they're just relatable, and the people that follow those people are really just find some sort of resonance with I guess, yeah. What am I trying to say? Content marketing is it's about storytelling. It's so people that have large followings tend to be more relatable, or the people that follow them feel like some sort of kinship, I guess. So Juan, to answer your question is really, I think just tell your story. I mean, I know you have a background, not to put you on the spot, but I know you have a background on the other side of the glass, so to speak, in this business. And I think that might actually help you and be beneficial to you in your content. But that might even be your angle, is talking from the other side of the, talking to people from the other side of the glass. It could be something that you could just share your experiences and start to, but remember, it's all quick now. It doesn't need to be a huge, long 10-minute thing about, a whole story. You could literally just say something for 15 to 30 seconds and leave people thinking, so but yeah, it's really about storytelling now. It's, which is why, a lot of people ask, and that's why I put my stuff out. Those of you that follow me and I've been connected to for a while, I finally started posting about my origin story. It's people started asking about it, and I went, okay, if you guys want to know, and this is what happened. People are interested in that now. And everybody's interested. Like I said, you don't need to be a celebrity in order for people to get involved in your story or to be able to relate to you. So yeah, that's where I would start for you, Juan, specifically, but anybody, that just tell your story, document the journey also, your start. Like, you don't want to necessarily say that you're just starting out. I usually try to tell people, when you're brand new to the business, don't necessarily go public with that particular piece of information, but you don't want to look too green, but at the same time, it's okay to be learning. We all learn, and we're all on this process. Because I do still every day.
Especially when you have a chance to book a gig or do audition. I mean, I was so guilty of that when I first got started. I'm like, well, I just kind of got started, you're my first client, it's that, those kind of things come to mind. And the client, honestly, if your demo is rock solid and you have a clip or two on your demo that they feel is they feel your voice and your delivery is the right product for their project, they don't care if you have 50 years of experience or 5 minutes of experience. They heard something on your demo that made them think, man, we really want this guy or gal. So, just keep the newbie step. I mean, we all start somewhere, but you don't have to ever say that, oh, well, I just got started, just kind of erase that from your brain.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Sab. Sab, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak, Trish and Terry. You guys both answered all of my questions before I even answered the question. So I had to hurry up and think of another question. So with that, coaching, I'm looking in a couple different groups. You have a numerous amount of people offering coaching sessions. So how do you determine what would be a good coaching session without them trying to take advantage of the green people like myself who are interested in the industry?
There's this neat website, uvtcoaching.com, where you can find Trish, Terry, Jan, Rob, Garnett, 5 coaches who aren't out to take people's money. We are actually working voice actors who still make a good living doing voiceovers. We just happen to enjoy the teaching element of it. I was being kind of tongue in cheek at the beginning there, but I'm actually kind of serious about it too, Trish. But yeah, you know what? That's Sab, that's a great question, because I don't know about you, but I run into Facebook ads where people are promising 6 figures of income from being on Fiverr, and everybody's talking about the money. Everybody's always talking about the money. No one talks about learning the art. Nobody talks about how to market your demo. Nobody talks about A, B, or C. It's just, join my class or sign up for my program. We don't, when we've got students in this call that I think will back me up on this. We don't talk about money in our coaching programs. It is not even on the radar. We want to make sure that people have the tools to give them the best possible chance to succeed. We're always going to be here as a mentor to help you, even long after the programs have been completed, to make sure that you're doing things the right way and you're out there, constantly sending your demo, because one thing a lot of people fall into, they get these fabulous demos made and then they don't send them out. And then they're wondering why they're not getting booked. I'm like, well, how many demos have you sent out? Well, I haven't sent any out yet. It's just, call it, maybe insecurity or just fear of failure. I don't know what it is. I've been there. I've experienced that type of insecurity before, but long story short, is, whether you decide to work with us or not, I think it's really important to work with coaches who are still very active in the field and not with a coach who last booked in like 1986.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, especially when you're starting. So, and the thing is you never stop learning in this business. I still have a coach. I have somebody that coaches me on my commercial delivery. He's never done a voiceover in his life, but he's worked in some of the top, places that, he only coaches pros. So he's worked in some of the top studios in New York. So
Or casting or people that work for, used to be casting directors or agents, I mean, they would qualify too. What you want to try to kind of stay away from is, and find out, here, a quick way to find out about somebody is obviously Googling
Google
the
their
person
name.
and find out how much experience they have, or even if you're in one of the forums on social media, whether it be Facebook or LinkedIn, and somebody is just shooting their mouth off, Mr. Know it all about everything, Google the person making the comment. If you see something that's kind of weird, or, the information might kind of smell a little bit misleading, Google the person, leaving the comment, and if you can't find anything other than a Fiverr profile, that, that's, there's a lot of smoke going on in the forums, and then some of these Facebook ads that, from some of them are from coaches I used to really respect, and they just kind of went down a dark alley here and are just kind of pickpocketing, we call them, it's To Catch a Predator, the voiceover coaching edition. It's just, it's snake oil. You can smell the snake oil. And I'm never one to, I don't want to bash competition. I'm not here to sit here and bash our competition, but I will confidently say that the 5 of us on the UVT staff together probably have over 100 years of experience.
Yeah. I think we did figure that out at some point. Like,
I mean, Trish, you started in 1934.
I know I look pretty good for 85, don't
That's CGI effect, right?
Yeah. But Sab, and one extra thing that if I can add to that. So yes, beware of anybody promising you a ton of money quickly. And also for offering to teach you too cheaply. If they're offering you $50 an hour, not offering you, if they're asking for $50 an hour, that's actually a very low rate for voiceover coaching. And I know that it's very tempting when you're on a budget, but it's either wasting that money or just investing in a higher rate with a better coach that will get you so much farther in one session than at $50 an hour. They're just looking to get $50 from you. They're not really going to be able to offer you much in that session. I can pretty much guarantee that. I've heard of people offering it at that rate, and they just need the money, which means they're not doing well in VO. And if that's the case, so just beware. If obviously we would love to work with you, but if you do choose to go elsewhere, do your due diligence and take their name and put the word voice after it, and that's really like, if you Google my name and the word voice or Terry's name and the word voice, you're going to find stuff back from 2006, like it's, and we were on stage. I don't know if you were in the call at that, but I just posted on my page that I saw memories come up from 10 years ago. Terry and I, we're on the stage together with another guy named Dave, and the 3 of us were presenting 10 years ago at a conference in Los Angeles. So it's not like, we've been here for a while.
Speaking of like Google results, boy, I'm so glad it doesn't go back to 1984. Let's hope no, just kidding. But yeah, those are good answers before, and it doesn't, I really have, Trish's answer was so brilliant. I have nothing to add to it. So why don't we just take some more questions? There's a little virtual hand that you can raise in your Zoom square. I'm so used to go to webinar. I keep
And if you
trying to-
can't find that, by the way, just raise your hand and you know, in the visual, and we'll.
Yeah, just
we have
raise
a
your
view
hand
of
like
everybody.
that and we'll see you. And there's a lot of people who are afraid to turn their webcam on. You know what? If I have to have my webcam on, Jan Anderson, I see that black square over there with
I
just
know.
your name on it.
He's not.
I know you're
listening.
hiding under your desk, you son of a.
He's not even listening. He's-
Jan is actually, since he's in here, he's kind of the audio engineer of our fun little staff. He does a great like a home recording studio setup session.
Mhm.
Fabulous. And he's really good with Audacity too. I'm more of kind of an Adobe Audition guy, which we'll talk about later towards the end of the call. But yeah, everybody kind of, speaking of our staff, everybody kind of brings a little different perspective and a little different talent to every session. Trish's script performance session is going to be different from the way I do a performance session. And you just kind of get, you know, a variety of different nuggets when you work with us. So, oh yeah, Jan is sick. He just wrote in the chat box. I forgot. He's basically has.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I wasn't even.
Juan, thank you for those nice words. Juan gave us a nice little testimonial in the chat box. So
Oh, thank you.
we appreciate that and a thumbs up.
Wait, who's in? Oh, Matt, you're in New Brunswick. I'm in New Jersey also.
Awesome. Matt,
Whereabouts, Trish?
I'm all the way up north. I'm in God's country up here.
wait a minute. Who said you could unmute your mic? Kidding.
I
I just have this.
I was-
Oh,
it's
New
fun-
Brunswick. I'm about an hour or so. I'm north. I'm like Pennsylvania. I'm like off of Route 80.
okay, so you telling me you're not far from like the Delaware Valley Gap or Strasburg
Yeah.
area?
I'm exit 27, so I'm 27 miles from the Pennsylvania border.
I can say I've actually been up there
Okay.
for different types of work.
Okay. Yeah. I'm about probably an hour and 15 maybe or so from New Brunswick. So, but yeah, I just happened to see that in the chat. So I
And
haven't been looking
Matt,
at it,
you
sorry.
were Matt, you were next up anyway. So go for it.
So, yeah, so it makes sense. I know both of y'all kind of touched on this throughout the course of the session so far, but what were some of the challenges you both experienced in the early stages of your careers?
That's
I
a
think the
great
list would
question.
be shorter of what we didn't.
What's that, Trish?
Well, no, I'm sorry. I was just joking, but I said the list would be shorter if I said what wasn't a challenge, but
All right. Yeah. Trish, you take this one first.
okay. Getting support from the people that I thought cared about me was
Uh-huh.
really tough. Not having, some people are lucky to have that. I didn't. And not that I didn't have any support at all, but I had very little hope around me. The best, what I can tell you without going too long is look for other entrepreneurial minded people. If they are not your friends or family, find them, because those are the people that are going to support you both mentally and emotionally and perhaps financially if you need it at the very beginning. I didn't, like I said, my parents still don't really understand what I do. So it's like they do, but they don't come from that. They don't come from a performance background. I'm totally the black sheep. Everybody else in my family had like jobs, employee jobs. And I've always been the one to like, I set up, when I was 9 years old, I had a rock store on my bed because I collected rocks from the driveway and tried to sell them to my family.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Really,
It's funny because short story. I'm actually a pretty big NASCAR fan, and back when cereal boxes used to collect die-cast cars, I would actually keep those cars, and I still have some in my storage closet. So you're not alone.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so just find other friends that are starting out or successful entrepreneurs, you know, like just make closer bonds with people that really understand what you're doing. Not that I'm not saying that you should turn away from your family or friends, but they're not really understand that most of them are not really going to get it. So that's why the community meant so much to me when I first started, because I just felt like it's a very isolating business just in what we do, just being by ourselves in a booth and recording all the time. It can be really lonely. So, you need to take advantage of the people around you and the people that are available that know exactly what you're going through. But when it
That's
comes
how
to
we
actually,
connected. That's how you and
yeah,
I connected way back when. Just to kind of throw something on top of that, my mother went to her grave disappointed that I never became a preacher. So there was not a lot of support from, at the time, a very conservative evangelical family. I'm not going into any weird lanes where I'm criticizing anybody, but it was a very difficult way to grow up because I just had I had different views and different things that I wanted to do. I didn't want to stand behind a pulpit and preach in a church. So I didn't really get hardly any family support. And even nowadays, that like Trish, most of my family, if a reporter walked up to them and asked them what I did for a living, most of them would not be able to answer that question. So yeah, getting support is obviously very, very important. And Matt, to touch on your cereal box thing, I still have my very first 45 record that I cut off of a back of a box of honeycomb, Sugar Sugar by the Archies.
Wait, Honeycomb still exists in 2022?
Oh yeah, no, this was back in 1973 or something, or 74. This is when they had you could cut a record, a 45 record off the back of a cereal box. Who's old enough to remember that? Come on, show me some hands. The record sounded like absolute ass, but it was so cool that it was free, and then it smelt like frickin', puff wheat or whatever. And then it skipped like a mother, but it was just so cool. Oh my God, I got my free record that I cut off the back of a box of honeycomb. So yeah, that I think when I'm dead and gone, I want that buried with me.
Oh God.
So good stuff.
Does that answer your question, Matt? Is that?
I already muted him. Sorry.
All right. Too late.
I cut him off way too quickly.
It's okay. I talk enough.
Oh yeah, totally. So anybody else have any questions? We can talk about some other stuff pretty soon. And then Trish, you have something that you want to bring up in a little bit, but we've got, I want to be cognizant of the time here, which it's about 18 minutes until we have to leave. And I have a softball game I have to get to. Actually, Trish, can you finish this? I got to get going.
Okay, bye.
No, so oh yeah, we got some questions here. Let's take one from Dawn. Dawn, good evening.
Hello.
Hi, Dawn.
Can you hear me? Hi,
Yep.
Trish. How are you?
I'm good.
Dawn,
Great.
welcome to the party. Did you bring the whiskey?
No, but I bought some tea that we can pour other stuff into it. Yeah, I got some iced tea here, and we can fatten it up with some drinks. But I don't drink. I don't drink anymore. So
yeah, I do it a lot less than I used to be. That's about all I'm going to say about that. But first of all, thank you for being here, and thank you all for being here. I know it's not easy to make a commitment like this in an evening. It's not easy for me. I've been up since 5 a.m. Trish made me do this in the evening. I wanted to do it at 1 o'clock. She made me do this. No,
Some people have day jobs, Terry.
All right. So Dawn, what's your question for us this evening?
Do you find that there are biases in the business when you see someone? Are there biases that people are encountering for their positions when they're doing a take, or if they get hired by someone? Does anyone ever encounter any type of bias, whether it be gender bias, racial bias, religious bias? Does it exist in this particular field?
That's a really good question. I personally have not experienced that, but I know there's been, just like every creative platform, there's been some issues with that. I hear a lot of that in the theater community too, to be quite honest with you, where that can be a major issue. But honestly, I haven't, it's a very diversified community and everybody is really supportive of each other. And I haven't really run into any headaches as far as that. That's a really, really good question. And I'm glad you brought it up, Don, because honestly, that question should be brought up more in certain forums instead of what microphone should I buy?
Yeah.
I think it's important. I think it's important to discuss that kind of a thing. And Trish, I don't know if you've run into any issues. The only issue I honestly see every now and then is, at times I've gotten a weird look when I've told like a client who kind of wanted a little bit of a younger voice when I've told them my age. Like I tell them my age, like what a moronic thing to do, right? You think I would have learned a long time ago about that? Because I can still do a college kid if I really want to do it. But they give you that look like, wait a minute, you're 53 and you want to do a read for something for a male talent for that's 28. I'm like, fuck yes, I can do a 28-year-old read. And I did, and I did book it. But you did, you can't escape that weird look that you get when when you say something like that. So that's really the only thing I've ever experienced. Trish?
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, the bias, Dawn, that I've experienced has actually nothing to do with the normal biases. It's not in the ones that you would think. You could sound like and I may have been, I don't think the person that I said that to earlier is on here. I was doing a coaching session earlier and I said this, but you could sound like the ex-sister-in-law that they hate. That's the bias and you won't get the job because of that.
Oh, wow.
Not because of the usual, the normal, our day-to-day biases that are in our society right now. But it can definitely, and that's why there is, but it isn't. It's just like, you don't know, just go out and be yourself.
Yeah.
And it's some people have said there's been times that I've gotten the job. I actually some people say, oh, it's harder for women to get voiceover jobs. And I'm like, that's not true at all. I haven't really found that, but and there's even been one particular job that I got because I was a woman, and actually not really. I actually accidentally auditioned. I missed the word male in the audition.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. And I sent it in, and because I must have read it fast or something and not realized. And I sent my audition in, and I wound up being the only female voice out of all. They were looking for a male voice. And then they heard a female, and it was for an ammunition company. So of course it was just like, oh, wow. Like we'd never really considered hiring a female voice for this before. So
your read was so good.
It was a voice of God gig. So it was like, they call it VOG. It's like it's just an awards announcer. So I wasn't live, but I did a bunch of liners for this awards company or awards, whatever gala that they have every year for their company. So, and I did it like 5 years in a row. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess the long answer, that was a long answer for no. There really is. Just go out and do your thing. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And it's good to see you, Trish.
You too. Thanks for joining us.
No worries.
Dawn, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Great question too, Dawn. I really appreciate that. And let's go to, is it Cassian? Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Hey man, how are you?
Hey, good. Trish, that's a really cool story, honestly. Also, yeah, so Terry,
that's why you should audition, and don't assume. Sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, Cassian, but real quick, I want to touch on this just briefly. Don't ever assume that you're not the right fit for a gig. You don't know shit. Let the client make that decision, because I've booked some really weird stuff throughout my career that where I decided to go for at the last minute when I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm going to book this. And then I'm like, you know what? Then I kind of slapped myself a couple times. I'm like, just go for it. And then, so let the client decide what you're eligible for and what you are not eligible for. Sorry, Cassian, go ahead.
Cool. So my question was for Terry, like you do a lot of LinkedIn marketing, like just direct messaging, like people on LinkedIn kind of like cold calling without the calling part. Have you bothered paying for LinkedIn Premium? Does that offer you any value at all?
Not really. I haven't seen, after, doing a lot of research and
Right.
talking to others, I haven't really seen that it really provides that much of a boost. And I don't really do private messaging.
Okay.
I really kind of subtle, I basically manipulate people in their in their comment threads. No, not really. But I do, it's all about engagement and asking them questions about their business. And if it's like a production company or a video production agency, talk about that commercial that I just saw that they were in charge of, especially if it's like an ad agency. And I just, I become like a chatterbox in the comment thread. And that's how I just start building rapport with potential VO buyers. I try to come across as very genuine. I drop the F-bomb a lot. No, not really.
I was gonna say a lot.
I do try to be myself, and sometimes it works, and sometimes I do end up putting my foot in my mouth. I mean, I've been in Facebook jail 3 times. So sometimes I do have a hard time keeping my mouth shut, but it's really, like I said, I think it was Juan that I said this to, at least a dozen brand new clients every year, not just with, I would say between LinkedIn and Twitter, and a handful of them do come back for a multitude of projects. They don't all come back, but again, on a free platform, just by having a conversation with a bunch of potential VO buyers, that's pretty good. And that's a great question from Cassian as well. Social media works. Don't poo-poo it. It doesn't mean that you have to sit there in the news feed and chat with people all day about, what their favorite beverage is, or what concerts they love, or if they love Top Gun or not, or which, by the way, that's one of the best sequels I've ever seen in my life.
I haven't seen it yet.
It was my first, yeah, get this. That was my first time going back to the movie theater since I saw A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga and Cooper, what's his name?
Yeah,
Bradley Cooper. Yeah,
Mhm.
2018. Well, wait, no, I think I saw the last, the Jedi, or the last Skywalker of the new Star Wars series. I think I saw that in the theater. But yeah, it was they made it for the fans. It was a fan movie for sure. But
Mhm.
Trish, do you have some movie reviews for us?
No.
Kidding. So Cassian, thank you for that. And by the way, these are great questions tonight, man. It's so refreshing not to hear what kind of mic should I buy, or some of the questions you see over and over again in certain voiceover forums. We've got some originals tonight, Trish.
I know. And Cassian, I actually do have the paid LinkedIn. I've had it for years. The first level, it's like $60 a month, I think. What I like about it is it gives you 15 in mails, which allows you to reach out to people that you're not connected with and message them. So you get 15 of those per month.
Well,
And
that's kind of cool. That's probably the first good thing I've heard about it. Are you finding that you're getting some work doing that, or new
yeah,
clients?
one of my biggest clients came from LinkedIn, and I still, I mean, it pays for itself. There's a reason why I keep, like I said, that I still pay for it, but
Oh,
it
good.
takes some time. I mean, it's not something when you're brand new that I would necessarily say that you need to invest in. If you have the extra cash, then sure. But if you're at the point where you're kind of picking and choosing right now where you spend your money, it probably isn't it may not be the best like decision, or it may not be the best use of the dollars that you're spending, but you could, I mean, there's no contract, so you could always try it. I mean, $60 isn't the end of the world. It's, it's not chump change, but it's, so if you want to give it a shot and see what a month does. But otherwise, there are probably other things. I mean, direct marketing, I teach direct marketing that the methods are free. So, there are ways of finding work without having to spend money. You're either spending money or you're spending time. So, it depends on which you have more of.
Great, Grant. Why don't we do a last call for questions, because we're inching closer to 7 o'clock, and then Trish has something she's going to share in a moment. So why don't we just raise the virtual hand, and if we don't have any more questions, that's fine too. And I just want to thank everybody for being a part of this call. This was fun. Something that I think we're going to try to do like 3 times a day. No, I'm kidding. No, just it is fun to do it because I haven't been. Oh, Diane has a question. Diane, go ahead and welcome.
Oh, you got to unmute. Oh, you have to
Yeah, you
unmute
gotta
you.
unmute your mic for ask to unmute. Let's try that once.
Oh.
There we go.
There it is.
Thanks
She's
again.
back.
Thank you for this. My question is, I'm just getting started. I've just got my closet set up and am learning Audacity. And I'm wondering, okay, I know a pro demo is going to happen, but for right now, for like the pay to play sites, the Fiverr, things like that, is making my own demo. I have a background in radio, so I did some cut and paste and way back when editing. But is it should I just wait until I get my pro demo, or go ahead and get my feet wet and go with what I can do?
That's a great question. I'm going to mute. That's a good question because you're probably going to get about 100 different answers when you ask a question like that. And I'm not saying that just because you don't have a pro demo that you just need to sit around. I mean, it's definitely going to help you if you're interested in getting agency representation and getting clients who pay well. Sometimes, sitting around these pay to play sites can be, can make one's head spin because you're auditioning against 300 other people for a lot of times for a $200-300 job. But if it were me, if I could go back in time and do it all over again, I would try to study with somebody as much as I could and just learn and really become the most awesome voice actor I knew how to be, and then cut, a couple of pro demos and then start, then I would maybe try a little bit of the pay to play or try a little bit of the direct marketing that Trish teaches so well, try to get on a couple of agency rosters. But there's, don't get me wrong, there's no one way or the highway. I know that some people who teach voiceover classes, who coach, like to think that, that they're the god of all things voiceover. And if you don't listen to their way, there's no chance that you'll succeed, which is a pile of horseshit. There's many different ways. God, I'm swearing a lot tonight. What's my problem? I haven't even had a glass of bourbon yet. But what is your take on that, Trish?
Yeah. So Diane, a little background on me and Terry. We both came from radio and both had to relearn how to actually read copy for a living. So, and I remember approaching my first voiceover coach with oh, I'm a DJ, I could do this. And she's like, lose the attitude. And I'm not saying that that's what you were doing, Diane, but there is a lot to learn in the difference between the two. So that said, I would also advise you against Fiverr. The second you connect yourself with a website like that, it is going to be really hard to get legitimate clients. And a lot of if you wind up getting the training and the actual the professionally produced demos down the road, and you start going to agents looking for work, they will look for you on Fiverr. And if they find you there, they will not represent you. There are a lot of agencies now that are telling people that it's on their website. If you list yourself on Fiverr, we will not represent you. So unfortunately, because when you're working for $5, I know that not all the gigs are $5, but compared to what they would be trying to get you on if a client finds you on Fiverr and then they find you on the agency website and you're offering yourself for $30 and your agency's trying to push to get you $500 for a gig or more, and the client finds out that you're on both, guess what's going to happen? The agency is not going to be happy with you because they're going to try to get you on Fiverr. So it seems really, if it means putting food on the table, as I tell people this, if it means putting food on the table because you're not eating and it means a matter of life and death, put yourself on Fiverr and see if you can get the work. But if it's anything less than that, it is worth it to hold off, get the right training, do the demos. It's about just sounding competitive, because you're competing. It's not just about how you sound, it's how you sound compared to other people. It's like you're competing. This is, this is the big leagues. Once you get that professional demo done, it's, you're putting yourself out there up against other people in the business. They're not clients aren't just listening to one demo at a time. They're not going to hear your voice and go, oh my God, she's amazing, I'm going to hire her right now. It doesn't unfortunately happen that way anymore. Maybe once in a while, but generally.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to sound discouraging, because I know where you're at right now. I get that. I get an idea of where you're at, but it really does, it can be a time consuming process, but it's well worth it to get you, to be on the faster track, to actually get the training and to get the demos and do everything in order.
Excellent questions, everybody. Thank you, Diana. Yeah, I have just dynamite questions tonight for sure. So we have reached the end of the free Q&A. And now our sponsor, Trish Bassani, would like to talk about a couple of things that we're starting up and offering. Trish?
Yeah. So let's see. So I'm going to share the screen for a moment, and you guys should see. Terry and I came up with this fun little summer promotion, sort of, and I'm really excited to bring it to you because we put together something really exciting. So we called it Kahuna Bites, and it basically means bits and pieces of things that you want to learn about. So Terry's named it, and this is what we did with it. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If you're looking to just getting started in the business and you kind of want to learn a little bit here and a little bit there, and you want to learn the tech, we are offering the 1-hour session with Terry, going over with Audition the basics of the home studio. He'll tell you about microphones, interfaces, the DAW, which is digital audio workstation.
Or Jan with Audacity. He's an Audacity genius. We can know that would work for this as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you have your choice between Terry or Jan. And so that's one thing that's included. And then we have, your marketing session with me. You got to learn a little bit about how to get the work if you're going to wind up, online casting sites. I haven't used them in 10 years. I'm not anti pay to plays, but I have managed to make a full-time comfortable living without them. And I can teach you how to do it if that's the way you want to do it. It really is very possible to actually have a way more sustainable career and long-term plan by getting regular work from some of the same people over and over. The idea is to find clients, not to find jobs. If you are auditioning for one job at a time, it doesn't have to be that way. I rarely audition, to be honest. And most of the jobs that I get just come to my inbox. And most of the emails that I get are, hey, Trish, when can you have this done? How much? And, how much is it going to cost us, basically, so that's most of the jobs that I get. And when I do audition, I'm in a much smaller talent pool than a lot of the other, the online casting sites are up against literally thousands. All right. So that's a marketing session with me that we're adding to that. 1-hour script technique. Obviously, you need to learn how to read a script more effectively. How can you do that? There's a lot of physicality that goes into it. There's reading comprehension. There is, just the smile. Those of you that have worked with any of us know about the smile. Smiling when you read is like the biggest tip that I can give you off the bat, that just says that will make your reads just exponentially better in just that one tip. All right. So you'll learn how to read a script a little more effectively to start getting to that competitive level where you can start actually booking auditions. And you can either, you can choose from either Terry or I for that one. I am launching a course at the end of the month. It's called It's a VO Summer. and I'm really excited about it. It's going to be twice a week. I'm going to be live on Zoom, and I'm offering it included with this. I'm offering it outside. There's going to be other, other people that are going to be coming in for the course, but I'm going to be launching it later this month. And that's also included in this kind of package that we put together for you guys. So 2 classes a week. I teach a lesson for the first 20 minutes, if they're a full hour. And then basically I'm bringing anybody on, just like we have here, to be able to talk and ask questions and kind of help you work through whatever you are working through. And it's basically a community to feel kind of like a safe space that you can talk to people and ask questions and things that maybe struggles that you're going through, and we can all kind of help you work through them together, and kind of like an accountability group. But so that's also included. Then we have the Kahuna Sliders. So Kahuna Sliders is something that Terry's been doing for years. It's every other Saturday morning, and he hosts that on usually go to webinar, but maybe we'll switch over to Zoom. I don't know yet. So, he teaches, and it makes it super fun. Anybody, I know a lot of you guys are probably, already have taken part in this, and they're every other Saturday morning. They're included in some of our other packages, but we do offer them as a kind of a standalone, and we call them Kahuna Sliders. So that's also included. And so you guys can see my mouse, right?
That's a hell of a mouse.
What's that?
It's a hell of a mouse.
So it just kind of, so all of these things, we have the home studio session, one home studio session, one marketing session, one script reading technique session, my full 3-month course for basically 24 lessons, which is 8 lessons a month, 2 per week on average, and 1 full year of Kahuna Sliders. And this is what it would normally cost you. There's a lot of things that are really, I talk to a lot of people just trying to get started in the business. And we tried to take a lot of the things that, the information that that people approach us with, not just in stuff like this, but just seeing people out, and I'm on TikTok, I'm on other groups in Facebook, and just looking at what people are asking and the things that seem to be missing from the business and from the people that offer to teach it. So we put something together here for you guys, and if we really hope that this is something that could really help you as a foundation to kind of get started. So we can get you, we can get you in as early as next week if you if you want to sign up for this program. We could onboard you before the end of the week or even early next week, and you'd be able to get going as quickly as possible and have demos before the end of the year, really. This is a good offer, I think, of we came up with a kind of a mix of the one-on-one instruction. Obviously the marketing session, the technique, and the tech session are all one-on-one instruction. Then you have my group classes with it's a VO summer. Those of you that have been, there's a lot of people that come into the group and they say, I'm so serious, very serious about getting into this business. So we're here to help and to help you do that. So what we did is we're offering it for $597, and this is the total value is the $1347 from everything that we talked about. And I just kind of listed the one-on-one instruction, the group classes, the Kahuna Sliders, so I love this offer, and I really feel like it's something that we could really get you going with, and makes it really kind of doable for a lot of people. So is anybody, I don't know, does anybody have any feedback on this? Can I answer any questions about it?
Everybody's mic isn't working. No. I do want to say too, just on top of it, that we have, several talents in here who are already Kahuna members. So you guys are already kind of getting a lot of this stuff, but this is a golden opportunity for those of you who are not working with us to kind of get in and get a sampling of what we offer as part of our team. And I'll put the sign up link, Trish, in the
in the
chat
chat.
box as well. And if anybody else has any questions, I know we're going way over time, and I appreciate you guys sticking with us, but I'm going to put the sign up. That's actually the link where you can go in and buy the program, and then you'll get instructions on how to set your appointments. And thank you, Mayor, for the great Mayor's in the Big Kahuna. Thank you for the good testimonial. And Juan, you too. We really appreciate your support. And yeah, you'll see it. It's called Kahuna Bites, and it's the little stripe link in there, Trish. So it is now in the little chat section. A pretty good way to get started if you've been kind of, really kind of on the fence and sitting around thinking about this for too many years, like I did when I first started many, many moons ago.
Mm. And we are only offering it until Tuesday, just because we want to get like a kind of a limited number of people in, because it's going to be, plus I'm starting that at the end of it's a VO summer is going to start at the end of this month. So I'm going to kick it off probably the last week in June. So, we're putting a little bit of a kind of a time limit on it, but but we would love to have you aboard. And if you have any questions on it, we would be happy to answer them. You can either reach out to us later, and even if it's not with the offer, those of you that have more questions or however you'd like, feel free to always approach us and just message me. And anybody that has messaged me in the past knows that I'm pretty good about getting back to people. So, don't be afraid to reach out and send me a message. If we're not friends, I'll still get it. It just comes to a different inbox, but I usually keep a pretty close eye on things.
Yeah, you can write us too. I just pasted the link to our website as well. You can write us through there if you want to send us an email. And yeah, pretty good ensemble of many different tools, for my Kahuna Sliders program, which is an annual group class program. That's $500 all by itself, and all these different components, for that fee. It's pretty, you're not going to see anything like that on social media or the internet or anything else. It's a good way to just kind of get your feet wet and start working with the UVT team.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. If you have questions, you can just type it in the chat. Unfortunately, we're running really low on time and can't do any live mic questions. Boy, can you tell I've been up since 5 a.m. I'm like, my speech is starting to get slower. I'm just like, thank you everybody for being here. And I felt like I was all hopped up at the beginning, and then I'm starting to fizzle, Trish.
That's all right. I'm headed out to dinner after this. So
Definitely. So if you're interested in signing up for this, what we're called the Kahuna Bites, I know we have a lot of hamburger time. We're trying to stick with that diner theme. Just scroll up in the chat. It's actually, I screwed up when I typed my website.
we'll send an email out too with the link.
Yeah, definitely. You'll see Kahuna Bites and then the link to get in there and sign up for it. So thank you very much, everybody. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you taking time out of your Thursday evening to join us.
This was fun. Thanks, guys.
And now a thunderous roar of applause for everybody involved.
You can unmute them, Terry, so we can hear them.
Oh, I know. I would, but I'm going to end the call.
All right.
Everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.